Good morning. I'm Deej Reardon, and I'm helping the Chamber of Commerce interview our candidates for the hospital board this morning. And this morning I have with us Randy Hite. And Randy, thank you for coming in and visiting with us and talking about your candidacy for the hospital board. And we'll get to some of the questions here and give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about you. So again, thanks for coming.
Yep, my pleasure, Deej.
First question I have is, should the hospital continue to grow and expand its physical plant despite the reduced revenue projections?
You know, and that's really kind of the buzz that's out there right now, especially just coming off the big legacy project. Everybody knows about the big capital construction project we have slated to go on, the remodel job that we have slated to go on at the organization. Really, at the end of the day, Deej, the hospital is a business just like any other business in the county. Should it expand? Well, we're in the service of pleasing customers, and if we can provide a better service for the customers, then most certainly the expansion of either physical plants or remodeling makes sense. Now, in looking at that, you have a lot of factors to consider. You want to get your employees engaged in that process and make sure that that process is going to better benefit them. Better employee satisfaction translates to better patient satisfaction. You also want to do the cost analysis on it and make sure that long term, that money is going to be made back somehow through efficiency terms or through billing terms. And then probably lastly on that is you look at the overall cost of it and start to trim it down and lean it down to fit what healthcare changes are occurring today. So the long and short of the answer, I believe that just like any other business, you should expand either inside your walls or outside your walls to provide a better customer service, but only at the right time and if the cost savings are there.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Another hot topic out there right now is, do you have any conflict of interest in serving on the hospital board? And if so, how will you deal with conflict of interest that might occur?
Again, I think that's a big buzz out there. Appreciate Kathy Brown, the front page of the News Record several weeks ago on this conflict of interest topic. I think we are an elected board in the county. We're not appointed. I think there's an inherent conflict of interest from anybody running for any elected board. I think it's how you manage that conflict of interest that becomes important. Obviously, we are held to state statute on what we can and cannot engage in and at what times we can and cannot engage in those activities. We have a lawyer present, an organizational lawyer present at all executive meetings to hold us accountable. We as board members hold each other accountable. You recuse yourself from anything that may be a conflict of interest to you personally and break that state statute. So, do I have a conflict of interest? I work in the medical field. Will there be times where there is a conflict of interest? There may be. Will I take the appropriate action at that time? I always have, and I always will continue to do so.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that as well. What healthcare specialties still remain needed in the community, and what role should the hospital play in recruitment?
You know, I think if you ask constituent A might tell you rheumatology is needed in the community. If you ask constituent B, they may tell you dermatology is needed in the community. People right now have to travel out of town for certain services, and people want all of those services to be offered in town for convenience. Unfortunately, we can't justify offering every subspecialty in this community. Right now, we are the most diverse organization in the state of Wyoming. We offer more subspecialty services than Casper Medical Center, Cheyenne Regional Center. And we do that at an operating loss with some of those subspecialties. So should we continue to offer those services? Most definitely. I mean, we have to draw that fine line between community balance and what the community needs are, and how do we remain fiscally responsible. Down the road, I think it's, every 3 to 5 years, the hospital engages in a community needs analysis, and that kind of draws us a map of what specialty services may be needed. Right now we're short on family practice doctors, internal medicine physicians, primary care overall is short, and I think we need to really focus our recruitment methods on those areas.
Okay. So can I interpret that to say or to mean that you agree that the hospital should play a role in recruitment?
You know, the hospital has always tried to play somewhat of a role in recruitment of physicians, whether they're going to come in and work as private practice or whether they're going to come in and work for the hospital. What you see now in the nation is there's a trend away from new graduates, new residents coming out and wanting to become private practice physicians versus hospital employed, okay? The trend was 5 years ago, everybody wanted to go into private practice. Things were good. Now the trend is everybody wants to be hospital employed. Security reasons, okay? They get better benefits and their hours are better. So there's a lot of reasons why the hospital needs to stay actively engaged in the recruitment of physicians, whether they're going for private practice or whether they're coming employed through the organization. So yes, I believe that the hospital should stay engaged.
Okay, appreciate that. Do you support physicians working for the hospital directly? I guess that's in addition or a follow-up question to what you just said, and discuss that a little bit more if you would like.
Most certainly, I believe that you know, whether a hospital employs that physician or whether a hospital or and a physician is in private practice, it's the alignment of those physicians that's going to better serve our community. Obviously, the organization benefits from that physician working for the organization as long as they're providing good quality care and representing the culture of the organization. I fully support the hospital's recruitment methods of bringing physicians in to work for the organization. I think it better suits a lot of our patient needs. However, I fully support the alignment of physicians from the private practice into the organizational employment methods as well.
Okay, good. And how would you differentiate yourself from opposing candidates?
Well, I think I'm taller than a lot of our other candidates, Deej, so I think that's one, right?
If only people could see everybody.
Right, yeah. Oh, wait a minute, here we go. You know, I think a big part, you know, I think this is that question where incumbents are always inclined to say, well, it's my experience. And I think you can rely on that, but only if it's good experience, okay? I've served the board the last 4 years with the intent when I first came on of improving patient and resident satisfaction and employee satisfaction scores. I've worked diligently with our patient quality committee, and we've seen those scores slowly start to come up, but we're not done yet. So we have some work to do there. I've worked hard for board accountability. This board up until this point did not have job descriptions. We didn't have peer reviews. We didn't have a lot of systems in place to hold ourselves more accountable. We now have a committee in place drawing job descriptions to not only make ourselves more accountable now, but make the transition for new board trustees coming in a lot easier. We still have a ways to go there. My last 2 years as chair, I've developed a great relationship with our CEO. I feel that my skills and knowledge being in healthcare for the last 21 years has allowed me to understand the changing payment models, the actual healthcare industry portion of it. You know, how is healthcare delivered? What are the performance models out there? And I also understand how to promote a good culture within a healthcare organization. Although mine is on a smaller scale than the hospital, all of those things I feel are great skills and knowledge to have moving forward with the board in these changing times of healthcare. So I believe that's what sets me apart, not just my experience, but the quality experience that I can bring to this board.
Okay. Well, thank you, Randy, for coming in, and thank you for your service on the board for the last 4 years, and we do appreciate that and understand that being on these boards does take time, and we do appreciate that. So thank you for coming in.
Appreciate it, Deej.
All right.
Thank you.